Hello and welcome everyone. In this section, we are going to discuss about unified CCX call flow. So we have a small scenario here where there is a phone that is connected to the PSTN, and on the customer network, we have the voice gateway which terminates ISDN PRI to the PSTN. And on the LAN side, we have a Cisco voice switch which provides a LAN connectivity to the voice servers, phones, and the desktops and workstations, and as well as it provides power over Ethernet to the phones. We have a unified CCS cluster with 2 nodes and unified CM cluster with 1 publisher and 2 subscriber nodes. We have 3 agents or resources, and let's consider they are part of the sales team, or we can say they are part of the resource group called sales. So whenever we want to distribute the calls to the group of agents for a resource group called sales, we would send it to these people. So in this scenario, we're going to discuss about the call that is coming for the sales team, and we will see how that call is being relayed to unified CM, and what are the communication that would happen between the unified CM cluster and the CCX, and also what are the communication that would happen between the CCX node to the CAD application which is running on the desktop. And I hope you also watched a previous section about the terminologies. If you have good understanding on that section, it would really help you to understand the call flows that would happen on this section. So let's say, for an example, there is a call that is coming to the voice gateway. It's an inbound call that is coming for this sales team. So the voice gateway, which is terminating the T1, receives the voice call. So as soon as it receives this information, with the help of an dial peer, it signals the CUCM and say there is a call for you. Now CUCM should know how to route the call. Now consider this is a generic number. It's not associated to any phones. So CUCM should hand out the call to an external application called Unified CCX so that it can process the call. So what does CUCM do is, it would find something called a serial route point, which is created in Unified CM by Unified CCX when we create something called trigger. And we discussed about the triggers and call control group in last section. So consider those triggers and call control groups are already created in Unified CCX cluster, and that is created as a serial route point and a pool of CDI ports in Unified CM. So as soon as the Unified CM receives the signaling information for the call, for the sales call, it would relay that information to the UCCX through JWP route request. So once the CCX receives the JWP route request, it knows that number is associated with the trigger, and that trigger is mapped to an application which maps the trigger, a script, call control group, and everything else. So it would find the call control group. So what is call control group? Call control group provides a pool of IVR ports. For example, let's say this call control group holds 50 IVR ports. So what is the purpose of that? So this 50 IVR ports helps this application to receive 50 different sessions or 50 different calls from the Unified CM to the Unified CCX cluster. Let's consider this is the first call that is coming to the application. So all the 50 ports are available to pick up the call. So it would find a free port and relay the information of the CTA directory number back to the Unified CCX engine so that it can relay that information back to Unified CM with the DN of the CTA port. DN is nothing but the directory number. Once the CUCM receives this directory number of CTA port, it knows, okay, this is the CTA port I have to use to send the call out to the Unified CCS cluster. So that's the time it initiates the call setup. It sends a call setup message to the CCS cluster, and as soon as this receives a call setup message, it knows that this setup message is for the sales team, and the sales team number is, say for an example, 4000 and is associated with the trigger, and it's associated with the application called sales. Now it's a time to execute the script. You can see a small script here, which is similar to an ICD script, where we have the start and end step, which is typically the first and last step in almost all the scripts. And we also have the accept step, which basically accept the call, which is nothing but picking up the call. It answers the call. As soon as it executes this accept step, it basically answers the call. As soon as it executes the accept step, UCCX relay the accept step, accept signal over to the unified CM cluster. Once the CM receives the accept message from the CCX, it relays the information back to the voice gateway through H225 connect message or MGCP modify connection message. So once this happens, the H245 negotiation or through MDCX, the negotiation of the UDP ports and the IP address of the endpoints would be relayed back and forth between this voice gateway and unified CCS cluster by the unified CM. Once this happens, it's helped to establish the RDP streams between the endpoints. Here the endpoints are the voice gateway and CCX. Obviously, this RDP stream would flow through the LAN switch. Just for the illustration, I have provided that RDP is the streaming directly between the voice gateway and CCX. Once the accept step is executed, and as soon as it's pick up the call, it executes the next step called play prompt step, which basically plays a wave file. The CCX encodes the wave file and it streams via the UDP packets out to the Ethernet port of this CCX node. So it basically plays as a wave file which is stored in a variable called welcome prompt variable. So which is stored in the prompt management of the CCX administration, or the prompt repository of the CCX administration. We would be uploading those prompts to the prompt repository from the app admin or Cisco CCX administration page. So this play prompt step plays the wave file to the caller. So at that time, the RDP stream would be flowing between the CCX and the voice gateway. Once it is done with playing the wave file, it executes the next step, which is the select resource step. Select resource step would look for the free agents or available agents to distribute the call out to the agent. It would do it with the help of something called CSQ. So what is CSQ? CSQ is nothing but the contact service queue. We discussed about the contact service queue in the last section. So basically the contact service queue will tell the UCCX of how to route the call and where to route the call. Let us first discuss about where to route the call. So should we route the call out to the resource group, or should we route the call out to the group of agent who has the skills assigned, or also called the resource skill? So let's consider we are sending the call out to the resource group called sales. We already know that these three agents or resources are part of the resource group called sales. So this CSQ would try to distribute the call out to the agent who is available in the resource group called sales. Now, the resource manager subsystem on the UCCX would relay the information that all the agents are not ready. That means they are not available to pick up the call. So the CSX engine cannot distribute or cannot transfer the call out to the agent. In that condition, it would execute the queue step, which is a sub-step of the select resource step, which will execute the play prompt step. And that would play the prompt or wave file that is stored in the variable called queue prompt. It can be something like, please be on hold, our agents are busy at the moment, we will return your call as soon as possible, something like that. So when this play prompt execute, the wave file is played to the caller through the RDP stream that would flow between these endpoints. So once this happens, let's say that these agents are not ready, and this agent here comes back from the break and he wants to change his state to ready to pick up the calls. The resource manager subsystem monitors the agent state, and then it relays the information to the CCX engine that this agent is ready and is available to pick up the call. As soon as this happens, the CCX would send a state change, the agent state change message to the CAD Cisco Agent Desktop application and reserve the agent. So once this happens, it executes the connect step so that the call can be distributed to the agent or transferred to the agent. So you can see that the agent state is reserved, and then the CCX would ask the CUCM to ring the phone. So when the CUCM signals that information to the phone would start ring. At the same time, the CCX would provide pop-up to the Cisco Agent Desktop, where he can see who is the caller and what is the call is for, and how long the customer was in queue, and any other customer information that can be showed in the Cisco Agent Desktop application. So now the agent or the resource has the option to either pick up the call or answer the call from the phone or from the Cisco Agent Desktop. Consider he's picking up the call from his CIPC. So that means the CIPC would signal the CUCM that the agent answered the call. As soon as this happens, it relays the information to CCX, and CCX would change the agent's state to talking, right? As soon as this happens, the call is transferred to the agent, and the RTP stream would be flowing directly between the agent and the voice gateway. So once this has happened, the CTA port that was in use, that was reserved, is released from the session. That means that CTA port is available for use by another session. So we said like we have 50 CTA DNs. When we received the call, when the CCX accepted the call, that CTA port was in use. Once the call is transferred to the agent, now the allocated resource is released and it's free to pick up the next call. So now the RDP stream is directly flowing between the agent and the voice gateway. Now think about the situation where the agent served the customer and he is about to disconnect the call. So in that condition, the agent would send the end call from his Cisco Agent Desktop. So he has the option to disconnect the call from the phone or from the Cisco Agent Desktop. Let's think that he is doing the disconnect from the Cisco Agent Desktop. It sends the end call message to the CCX, which in turn relay that information back to CCX. As soon as this happens, it signals the CIPC as well as it signals the voice gateway to tear down the call. So once all of this happens, this CCX engine would execute the end script. That means the agent is released and the resources that was utilized are also released, and also the CCX would send an agent state change message to change the state of the agent to either not ready or again back to ready, or even the agent can be pushed to work state where he can do some wrap-up works after the call. Once all of this are done, this call is being recorded in the CCDR, which is Contact Call Detail Record, so that those information can be later pulled through the historical reporting. So that's all about this section. I hope you enjoyed the session. Thanks for watching.